Jamani, karibuni. Again, that is hello, how are you doing? What's the news? It's Kiswahili, Kiubuntu. Welcome, is karibuni. The name is Nduku. I am the host on Kumbukeni. I am so honored today as we honor Brother MalcolmX, aka Omowale, Mzee Omowale. That is the name that he was given when he went back home, the one who returns, Omowale. So we'll honor that name. But as we honor him today, I am honored to sit with my brother Kofi, who I was at the source of knowledge. As you see in the background, it's a bookstore in Newark. Like I keep saying, you're looking for a black bookstore, you're looking for a place you just want to walk in and feel like you're home. It's in Newark on Broad Street. Next to, there's a big sign that says Vim or VIM, the store next door, right? But you will not miss it. Again, a place where you can feel African, be African, and get, like the name says, the source of knowledge, the knowledge that you're seeking. With all the books here for your children, for adults, for anyone, you will find something that you can read. But for today, I was at the source of knowledge recently and ran into Brother Kofi, and we were chatting. Brother Kofi is always here, and he mentioned that he had written something. We were talking about Malcolm. He mentioned, because this year is Malcolm's 100th birthday, right? 100 years of us knowing him in physical and spiritual existence. And he mentioned he had written a poem about Malcolm, and I said, and it's not just one poem, there were several of them, but I listened to a couple of them and I loved them. So I said, I need to talk to you about your journey with Malcolm and what you've written about him. So this is why we're here today, Brother Kofi. If you can please introduce yourself.
Greetings. I'm Noel Morgan, my given name. But I'm a poet, and I write this poem on Brother Malcolm. Man of our time. And I dub them with music. Sister says she wants to interview me. Anyway, let me say by saying I started really to write poems of liberation, maybe because of Malcolm. You know, growing up I used to love to write. I really love to write, always write little things, but you know, sometimes you can love poems, the top of the mountain, things like that. But I always loved to write, and till somewhere in the 80s, I was invited to a Black History Month program. And for some reason, I didn't get there the night. It was a group of us. So the next morning I asked a friend, how was the program? And she said it was very good, but there was a young sister who wrote a poem on Malcolm. And it didn't sound too good. She didn't like it. And I felt it in my heart that at this time we should be able to write something good about Malcolm. And I started to write a poem on Malcolm. And the name of the poem was Alone. That was the first one I did, Alone. And then from then on, I started to write poems of liberation. I call them revolutionary because we got to bring about change for us as African people. And Malcolm was dynamic. You know, I see Malcolm as a perfect human being. And there's never been a perfect human being created. But the reason why I said perfect, after his transition, Malcolm was true to the core in his quest for liberators as a people. So Malcolm is part of my life. I walk with Malcolm. I'm living the spirit of Malcolm because my spirit is with Malcolm also.
So Malcolm was the perfect imperfection, right? He literally was the perfect imperfection. When you learn about his life, before he goes to prison, where he's into everything in the community. At that point, he's called Malcolm Little. Or
Malcolm Little.
Yes.
Malcolm Little.
He's not become an ex yet, or Omowale. And he's getting into all kinds of things. Those of you who want to learn about that, you can get the book again here or another book, a black book so close to you, the autobiography of Malcolm X. So we're going to play. Is it Alone that you sent me?
Yeah, it wasn't Alone. The one that I sent her was A Man of Our Time. A Man of Our Time. That's the one I sent her.
So do you mind getting it so that we can play it quickly and then we'll talk about them just a little bit?
Okay.
That one. And the point is for all of you to hear the music, yes, but also to support our brother Kofi. Is that it? Yep.
accentuate, to advance yourself, to expand your mind, to cultivate a giant in which you become. They knew not you would come back in the spirits of your fighting ancestors. They knew not. Nocturne was alive in you. I didn't know the roar of some shark and Paul Vogel from Jamaica would roar a burning fire in you. Tucson Louverture of 80 is alive in you to fan the flames and keep in the spirit of your warrior ancestors. They know what they have done when they've done you wrong. They sat on their mighty seats of their unjust power, plot and plan false schemes, and deem them to be just. Wrongs they did to you become their must to put you away, must to kill the man in you, must to destroy you. They knew not you crossed the path in Shaka Zulu footsteps. is alive.
Exactly, right. For those of you who are grounded in African spirituality, you understand that you transition from the physical to the spiritual. You do not die. It is not your end. It is just a transition into a different form. So what inspired you to write that song? Other than the fact that the girl came to the event and she misrepresented Malcolm.
Well, if you remember, I said this poem was in tribute to Malcolm and Johnny Clark. We call Johnny Clark the master teacher. And you know, when I came to the United States first, and I didn't know about Johnny Clark, I went to this bookstore and I see the book Man for a Time. And it was about Malcolm. But I thought it was a white author who wrote it.
Why did you think that?
I don't know why I think it was a right author. And I went into a black bookstore.
Could it have been because, where do you come from?
I was born in Jamaica.
Because in Jamaica, we still lift up whiteness, right? Intelligence is associated with whiteness because we have the British system just like in Kenya.
Yes, I do, but I'm not, with what I don't think so. I spent, before I came here, I spent 14 years in Europe. And I was familiar with Malcolm back in Europe. I used to get the magazine, Mohammed Speaks, come to England, read it. And I was still in the struggle at the time. I was young, I was still in the struggle. For some reason, I don't know why I think it was a white man who wrote this book. So it must be a reason why it happened that way.
Yes.
And then, and then I come to know Johnny Clark and sit with him just like I sit and talk with you. And so for some reason it came up and I write this for a book and I just put A Man for a Time.
How was that experience sitting with John? And for those of you who don't know, John Henry Clark was Malcolm's mentor. A lot of the reading that Malcolm did was inspired by John Henry Clark. He would read and go back to him, and John Henry Clark would recommend and recommend and recommend. So he was a big part of Malcolm being informed and getting to know better and improving who he was. So how was the experience of sitting down with Malcolm?
Well, it's an experience, but you know what happened? When I came here, as I say, I came here very conscious. I was young and always conscious when I was young. And when I came here, I was searching for somewhere. And a brother introduced me to a place. He said, go to Harlem, 145th Street and Convent Avenue. And they always have a seminar every Saturday.
The history gatherings every week?
Every Saturday. And I always go to John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, Leonard Jeffries, Professor Smalls. I met all of them through First World, and for some reason, I think the reason why I become so close to Brother Clark, because I remember I bought him an album. And I remember I went to a seminar, and they talked about Christopher Columbus was the subject. It was telling how much he was a liar. And then the week after, the same week, within the week, I found a record with Burning Spear, Christopher Columbus, a damn blasted liar. I bought the album, and next Saturday I take it and give it to Johnny Clark. So after a while, I'm
sure he found that very interesting.
I guess
he was one with a great sense of humor.
Yeah. But let us say,
come closer so that the people can see you.
I could say I was at his knees like I was at Dr. Ben, because I was going there religiously every Saturday.
Which is the only way to be with the elder.
Yeah, I was on my own for years, and 145th and Convent, so I know all of them personally.
So let's talk more about Malcolm. So the song, as you all heard, in our time, especially in Brother Kofi's time, they arrested him, they put him in jail. They thought they were going to destroy him. They didn't realize that actually that was a blessing. Malcolm takes that moment that is supposed to be a destructive moment in a black man's life and flips it on that, flips the script. That's the time he uses to, and we have to give credit to the Nation of Islam, right? Because and he was committed to liberating black people. So let's talk some more about Malcolm, Brother Kofi.
Well, you know,
And how many songs have you written about Malcolm?
I write a few. I know I write Alone, I have Masterpiece, A Child of the Universe, A Pure Soul. You know, and then in other poetry, his name always comes up in other poets. Like I would bring up other ancestors. You know, I bring up Fanny Loima in some form that is befitting.
Yes,
So, you know, it's,
hey,
yeah, you know, things like that. And every day I'll find a name. I go to Sankara even for a speech that Sankara had making one of my poems. So I'm always fitting their names in. So Malcolm is everywhere around me. He's in my fiber of my being.
So my advice to Brother Kofi is to put together the Malcolm album, especially this year as we celebrate his, is it a centennial?
No, we're celebrating 100. He would be 100 years on the 19th of May.
Yes.
And today is 60 years since they tried to take him away from us.
Today they took, well,
21st
yes,
of February,
right? They
1965.
physically took him away from us.
Yeah, 1965, 21st of February.
He was assassinated on this day
Yeah.
in 1965.
Yeah.
But for those of you who want to hear the music, the poetry, for those of you who want something that is both entertaining and educational, because I'm listening to the brothers' songs and you'll find me singing and dancing to them because they do have a tune to them that is ours, that brings out rhythm and dance in us. So my advice to him, and this is actually, I'm reaching out to those who can help us put together an album for him, and he can start putting out to share with more of you. He should put together all these works that he has about Malcolm into an album that he can share with.
And the others.
But for this year, right, we talk about Malcolm because he does have others. So comment on, put a comment in the comments and tell us if you want to get the album. Put a comment if you have any questions for Brother Kofi. He's always here at the Source of Knowledge, so for those of you in the New Jersey area, you can stop by and talk to him. He's a pleasure to speak with. What else would you like to tell us, Brother Kofi, before we end?
Well, just teach the younger generation about Malcolm. Don't be afraid to talk about Malcolm. You know, and there's other eras and heroines. Let's link them all. Show their connection and who do what and who did what, and because we all have different parts to play. Malcolm played a great part, and we can talk about Marcus Garvey, we can talk about Ella Baker. So therefore we just intermingle all of them. But don't forget, Malcolm must be in your autobiography and in your soul and your fiber. Sometimes they want to erase him, but they can't erase him. So we have to keep him there every day. Teach the generation that's coming behind.
I recently, we'll talk about Marcus Garvey and Malcolm and the connection there, but I recently, because I am a teacher's aide now, was talking to one of the students, black student, 12 years old, and I said to her, I was talking to her about this week and the fact that Malcolm was taken, does she know who this is? And she did not know about MalcolmX. They don't know about MalcolmX. And so I came to the store and got a book for them to read that his daughter wrote. I forget what it's called. It's here in the store. I'm going to ask one of them to pick it up so that you all know what book we're talking about. But it's a book that is good for teenagers who want to learn about Malcolm. Yeah, so I'll see whether we can get someone to pick it up and we'll tell you exactly what the book is. Yeah, all right, Brother Kofi will grab it for us. So, again, today we honor Brother Malcolm X, also known as Omowale, the child or the one who returns. That name he was given by his brothers and sisters back in Africa. I forget the specific country. I want to say Nigeria, but I'm not certain. Because he was the child who was returning. And he has a great affection for Africa. This is the book. So if you have a teenager, and like I said, it's right here, so you can come and pick it up. Written, a novel by Ilyasa Shabazz and Tiffany D. Jackson. Ilyasa is Malcolm's daughter. So a great book for young ones, a great way for them to learn about Malcolm, because it's a shame. Do not let your child be a child who doesn't know about Malcolm X. So, and do not let any child that you encounter
yes, I think we have said enough about Malcolm, and there's plenty more to say, and we only have a short time in this time, but we'll continue in all the time, put it that way. Malcolm is our shining prince, and don't forget, today is 60th year that they tried to take him away from us. We must have a minute of silence on your own. And in May 19, you'll be 100 years old, so we still have him here for some little time. So
we have a lot more celebrating to do, especially on that day, on May 19th. And both Brother Kofi and I, we're not going to specify what day we were born, but we celebrate, we're all Tauruses, Malcolm and us, we share the same stars. So if you see the fire in us, you understand why we are connected with MalcolmX.
You're well said.
All right, Brother Kofi, thank you so much. Thank you all for listening.
And
this is it from us.
We can connect again. Great touch.
Yep. Go honor our brother MalcolmX, aka Omowale, Mzee Omowale. Mzee is the elder, old man in Kiswahili. So because he would be 100 right now, he's my Mzee, not Ndugu, right? He's not my age group. So blessings, kila la heri.